game. And we'll default that to false. And when it does join the game, and this will probably be pretty instantaneous for us because we're local. We're testing this locally. We're not actually like going out to the internet and expecting it to do any work. This connection should come back very quickly. So if this method is called, then that method had to come from the hub. So we know that we've connected to the hub. It's very similar to saying is connected. It's kind of the only other thing it's doing is it's letting us know that we actually called this join game method. And let's see, actually I'm doing this. Yeah, join game. We haven't called join game though. So we need to actually do that as well.
Why is it unhappy about on-initialized async?
Let's see. I'm lacking any await operators. So we haven't awaited anything yet. We're about to do that though. Let's see. Let's go back to our index. We need to start that connection. So it's going to remove that underscore now. So we're going to start the connection. And then we will call. This is going to be similar to how we sent a message. So we'll do send async. Join game. Table join game. Because that is the name of the method we want to call. So we'll say table join game. And then when this adds us to a group, it will call back and say the game has been joined. We'll run this function, set our flag to true, and update the UI. And then we need, let's just do this in the ugliest way possible. We'll say at if has joined game. Then we'll just throw a big ugly h1 tag out here. And that will be our test to make sure that we've joined the game. Does that make sense?
Yep, yep.
Is that good? Okay. Let's see if we can do a compile. I think the watch blew up because we've done so much and there's been so many errors along the way. It gave up on us. Let's just do a quick check and see if we can build. And there's we haven't implemented Disposable Async yet. So Disposable Async, what that is going to do is when we navigate away from the table component, it's going to die. It's going to go away, and garbage collection is going to take that dead table and delete it. So what we need to do is make sure that our SignalR connection is closed when it does that. So I'm just going to steal again from our chat page and stick this handy piece of code in it. It says async, when dispose async is called by the runtime, go ahead and take that connection and dispose it too. So this is just giving us an insurance policy that no hub connections are just left open in memory to take up memory for nobody to call any methods on.
Do we have that in our other, like in-game.razor too?
We don't have that in game yet. So we need to get that in there. I think I templated that one out. So we have a empty method waiting for us to go in and build the rest of that bits. Let's see if we can join this table real quick though. So let's try that build again. There's some warnings probably from that templated game file that's sitting there.
See, I was getting those warnings too when I tried.
I think it's from this game page. There's some things in here that are, see this is the warning it's triggering. The disposable async doesn't go anywhere. We're not going to run that, and it's really not going to cause any problems. .NET run. Let's see if we can connect our table to a game. So if we go to table, it instantly, because it was on the initialization phase, it's joined the game already. It was fast. It was really fast. So now we have a game joined. So the next step is to open a game. Maybe this needs to be player, but we need to open this tab and join a player to the game. So let's go over to the hub. When a player joins the game, it's adding itself to a list, and it's also calling to the table group to enable some command and add that user. So just like we added join game here, we need to say hub connection on again. We need to say hub connection on. And then we haven't given it a command yet, but it'd be something like player joined, right? And then we need to get the player's name back. So we need to tell this that a string is coming. So we're going to get a string back from this method. I'm going to delete this out, by the way. Let's try it this way. I like this better. Let's see. We're going to put a method here. Instead of doing fat arrows all over the place, this is going to get long, like very lengthy, very quick, because we're going to start registering a bunch of commands in here. And if we inline all these with anonymous methods, it is going to get very messy. So what we can do is just come down here and say void, and then it has to match that method signature. So it'll be player joined, and then it accepts a string of, let's call it player. Let's do it that way. Might update that terminology as well instead of user. So player joined is going to come in, and then we can call player joined like that. And now that method takes place where the fat arrows once were. So we're just giving it a reference to the function that we want to handle that with. That looks a lot cleaner to me than putting fat arrows all over the place. So when a player joins, we need to do something with that player. We don't have anywhere to put this yet. So let's go ahead and add a list. We may be able to reuse the game state here. I'm not sure yet. Let's see how different those two objects are going to be. We'll do a list of string.
I assumed game state was like going to hold everything.
It could, and we may be able to just pass the game state down, or just keep two states updated all the time. Just depends on how we want to handle it, what is going to be more efficient. Nobody needs a mechanical keyboard. Everyone needs another mechanical keyboard.
I think that's some mechanical keyboard love for you.
Probably. I can't live without it. It's like Spaceballs. You've seen Spaceballs, right, Alyssa? I've given you homework. Have you not done your homework?
Like a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I watched it once. Like what's your quote? What's your quote?
Like when they're going through the desert and they're carrying all the princess's junk in the big suitcases, and he's like, "What's in here anyway?" And he opens it up and pulls out the gigantic hairdryer. And she's like, "That's my hairdryer," and she names off the model and everything. And she's like, "And I can't live without it."
That's you when you travel and you pull out your keyboard.
That's my mechanical keyboard. I can't live without it. Gotta have it. Let's see. We've got a list of players. We'll new up a list of players. And when the server, or when the SignalR hub calls player joined, we'll say players.add player.
Is
And
that a Spaceballs quote? Oh no, we've gone plaid.
yeah. I play Star Wars Squadrons, and every time I like use the what's it called, the boost feature, like I laugh a little bit because I think of that quote. It's too good. So we should be able to get a little round trip action here as well. So when a player joins the player part, it will send a message to the table. The table will say, hey, a player joined, add it to its list, and update the UI. We also need to change this player joined here.
So
this is where things can get messy.
The Stitches actually brought up a question regarding prizes, and I forgot to share this info about not receiving an email yet. So if you have won a prize, or if you will win a prize, we're actually going to purchase all of the Amazon gift cards and send them out in one batch right after our Friday stream tomorrow. So all prizes will be over the wires, and you should see them on Friday. Otherwise, you can reach out if not, but we do have your emails, and we are doing another round of prizes today. So if you have not already, please enter to win. But yes.
Nice.
It is to come.
So we're going to add a player and then update the UI, but we're not technically listing the players yet because we have a static, like hard-coded template that I put on the page. So if we look at the page, this list of players is not obviously a real-time list of players, but it's also not coming from any sort of data yet. So we need to Blazorify this. We need to put a little Razor template in here. So we'll say for each item player in players. That is the name of the field, is it not? Yes, players. Okay. The IntelliSense bit takes a little while. Throws me off. I think I'm writing something wrong, and then a couple seconds later
you'll be like, there it is.
Clean up. Just for future reference, this is a little bootstrap piece of CSS, and it does have a flag for active, which I think we will eventually use. But right now I'm going to cut it out. Just remember it's there. So when we do start playing a game, when it's that player's turn, all we have to do is tell the UI to flip that to active, and it'll highlight the person that's taking their turn. So that'll be cool.
What about, I was going to say, do we need to @player or, whoa.
So @player should just render the name in the list. And that should do it, I believe. So we can go back. I don't know. We're doing a lot of work, so I don't want to keep a watch going while we're doing all this. So I'll do a quick build just to make sure we don't have any errors. And I'm still seeing some warnings. I'm not sure why, but
That's, and I think it's from something you built earlier. It's not from today, because the code I have is not from today. So it's from something in the OG app.
Oh, I see that we haven't saved the file. See, that save is going to come back and haunt me. There is a save there. Oh, we have the hub built for joining a player, but we didn't put we didn't update the game page. So if I go to game, if this even runs, it does. It's still going to look like this, and it's never going to open up the join button because we haven't wrote the code yet. We wrote the server code, but not the client code. We updated the table with the client code, but not the actual game page. So this has, it shows false for connection all the time. So we'll go ahead and say when the hub is connected, we'll enable the buttons. We want to create a hub, connection with a hub. And we're going to connect to that same hub that the game is connected to, or the table is connected to, the game hub. So they're both communicating with the same hub. And then we need to join the game. So we need to do some kind of task to join the game. I'll steal that from the what do you call it here again? The chat
table?
game, the chat program. So this is going to be, this can't be void, by the way. It needs to be a task. Yeah, we could use a fat arrow for this one. I don't think we need to do anything but send that command off. So we'll go to fat arrow that one, just like they have it in the example. Instead of send message, it will be player join game. And then it is user, it is user name. And that is all we have. We don't have a message to send. We just have the name of the user to send. And then I've got a straggly curly brace out here we can get rid of. And then we can light up our dispose method here as well. And that should get rid of those warnings that we're seeing.
Man, your IntelliSense is slow.
It is really slow.
Super weird.
It's a Blazor thing. It really is.
It's Blazor?
Lax and wait operator. So we're not awaiting anything yet, but we will eventually, I think. Yeah, I think it's the compiler. VS Code, file, autosave. There we go. That'll work. Autosave. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, I'm not using Visual Studio today because Visual Studio has been a crash factory. And I'm not going to sit here and reboot it it is. It's the rage machine of the day. So we can click now and join the game, I believe. That should work. So let's make sure the hub matches.
We still got a grumpy
Player join game.
on initialize that you're missing in a wait, I guess.
Yes, because we're not doing anything in the game, receiving any messages in the game tab yet. We will in a minute.
Can't you just get rid of on line 22 the word async and it'll leave us alone?
Possibly, yeah. Let's see. That should.
Is that a? Oh no, it's very
then
grumpy. Don't ever do what I suggest.
Return return at base dot on initialize async.
Can't we just return hub connection? What are you returning?
So this is this is using inheritance. So the base method. So from the parent that we're inheriting from, we'll just return its method. So that's a way of resolving that. So that made it happy. It quit complaining at us. This compiler's good now. Let's try .NET Run again. And it built and it ran. We can control click here, should open it up. I'm going to do tab bankruptcy and say close all other tabs. And we will join a table. It's join a game. We'll create a player. Let's get these side by side. And if I type in a username, something is wrong. We're not getting a button. Why are we not getting a button? So that would be on the game tab. Let's go ahead. Let's do some tab bankruptcy on this one as well. Let's focus. Is disabled, is connected. Is it not connecting to our hub for some reason? Oh, I think I know what it is. We're forgetting to call something in here. So we did need an await statement here. Let's see if anybody in chat's got it. I see what it is, though. I definitely see what it is.
Are you talking about the task.delay0 part?
Hub connection start. We never connected to the hub. We built the hub, but we never connected to it. Therefore, the hub state has always been disconnected. Let's see. Not send async. It's start async. There we go. So we start the connection. We have to manually start that connection. Building it does not start it. So just keep that in mind. We want to start that connection after we build it. So we can go back and build again.
Question. Could you put await on line 24, and then do dot start async
Yes.
underneath build, like chain it and be like
depends
like
what
the
build gives
upper-
us back. So build gives us an I hub connection builder.
I think we just got rated again. Sorry.
Did we?
I think so.
Yes.
Or
so
Layla's just joining us. I don't know. Something happened. Things are happening.
we should be able to do that exactly like you said. Good eye on that, by the way. We should be able to do it just like this. I think the reason they don't do it in the docs. Why is this?
Okay, wait. You can do that? Maybe it's because you have
Yes.
to await and it's grumpy at you? No, that's not
No,
why.
we need to not set it to something. That's why we don't. That's why we wouldn't do it there, because now we don't have a hub connection placeholder. Like we don't have access to the hub connection anymore because we're newing it up and just throwing it away. It'll start, it'll be there, but we don't have the we can't ever check it to see if it's connected, call dispose on it, and those things, because we don't have a reference to it anymore.
Okay, so let's do first of all, welcome raiders. Hi, welcome to the channel. Hi. We're building some Crazy Eights app, a Crazy Eights app with SignalR today. Secondly, yes, can we set that? And then can we still do the start and async underneath the build? And then the very line 28, can we just say await hub connection? Or is there a reason that we need to do it all on that await line? I'm just trying to understand.
So start async doesn't have a return value. So it's a task. That's all it has is a task. It doesn't return anything. So if we said hub connection equals blah, 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 start async, it's not going to return back any value to hub connection.
Okay.
So we can't one line it like that.
Okay.
We have to set the field and then call start, because if we tried, it would be the same as doing this, hub connection equals, and notice it immediately blows up here. Cannot implicitly convert type void, and void in C# means nothing. Like there's no return value. It's not even null. There's nothing. Nothing to return from this function to set to hub connection.
Okay, I see. So you're setting the value hub connection to the end product of build.
Mm-hmm. If we really, really wanted to, we could set up an extension method that would start the connection and return a value. But I think that's a little overkill for syntactic sugar. You could build that if you wanted that type of a method with extension methods, but I'd probably refrain from that just because it's not common practice to see it. So while it would be a nice have and it might read better, you give it to another developer that's done SignalR before and they're going to be like, what are they doing here? All right, so let's try this again. I think I had it running. So let's try, we should be able to just refresh these. Join game came up. Let me refresh this one though. Join game, user, join game. Look what we did.
What?
We did it. We have a player.
Wait,
we have our first player.
Wait. It worked?
It worked. We have our first player. Here's the thing though. We joined the game. We still have a join game button, so I can smash this and just keep joining the game.
Oh,
Whee!
I love to play Crazy Eights with myself.
That would be a definition of Crazy Eights. It'd definitely be crazy. So we need to kill the server here. What did it just say? Just close it. There. Shutting down. We need to go back and we need to do something. So we have a hub, and when we join, when the player,
much, Layla. Mwah. Bye. Sorry about that. Layla was going to feed her puppers and is heading out, but thank you for the raid.
Chicken Man's asking a little bit more about this. Couldn't I do new hub connection builder, start async? The return value still would be, even with the parameters, would be void. So even if I encapsulate that in some parens, it would be void. Those are functionally equivalent statements. Could be, yeah, pretty sure I'm right on that one. They're functionally equivalent. So the return type, the last thing you have in the chain is going to be the return, what returns the value. Let's see here. So just like when we join a table, we call back to the sender and say, okay, you did join. What we want to do is when the player joins, does it ever return an error you could catch? Which piece? I'm not sure. There's a lot of places here we could have errors and we're not doing anything.
They might be still start talking about the start async, but maybe not.
Yeah, there could be an error in there. We're not catching any. If it doesn't connect, it's gonna throw an error.
It would. It would send one back. Okay.
So we could actually see that if we wanted to. All we'd have to do is go into this and put the wrong hub in, and it will say there's no hub with that and blow up, and we won't be able to start that connection. It'll just throw an exception. No, all fair. We're not doing any like super duper best practices right here. We're not doing try catches everywhere we need them. We're gonna let those exceptions bubble up and just throw in the UI for now. But if you were gonna ship this to users, you'd want to have some kind of elegant message that says, you know, maybe the server went down, but you still have the client up, and you go to connect to that hub, and it's, you know, the server's offline. You'd want to get the error message back and not display anything security wise to the user, and just say, you know, we're down for maintenance, and just put a little banner up. So yes, for simplicity, this is a good one. You beat me to it. Yep, that says it all right there. So just like the table calls back to the caller and tells it that it's been joined, we need to do the same type of thing here. And we need to call to our sender and tell our player that it has joined the game. So we can disable the UI and not allow it to rejoin the game. Another thing we might want to do is uniquely identify this user. So if the user were to try to connect again, or no, that wouldn't work. But what we want to do is say, maybe if the username is the same, just like kick it back and say this user already exists or something. There's no way for the user to rejoin yet. We haven't gotten to that point. Actually, I forgot to share this with everybody, but on GitHub, I tried to kind of outline what we're doing here today. So I have Thursday's stream and some ideas of what we need to do. We need to make sure a player can join a game, which we're getting right now. Players can start a game and deal some cards. Hopefully we get to that. We got about an hour. I don't know if we'll get through that. But this is what I had hoped to do today. On Friday, I wanted to get through game rules, and then we'll deal with can players rejoin a disconnected game and all of that.
You pushed checklists up to GitHub.
Yeah, they're in issues.
That's adorable.
So what I would want to do is eventually get to like rejoining lost connections and whatnot. And how I'd envision that is when you join a game, the server creates a unique identifier for you and sends you that response back with your username, and then stashes that away in local storage. So when you'd get disconnected, maybe your browser crashes, you pull the browser back up, it looks in local storage. gets that unique identifier, sends it to the server, and it goes, oh, I already have a user with that unique identifier and that username, and rejoins you and gives you the game state back. So I think we can accomplish that, but for now, we need to just at least disable the UI so we're not spamming the button and getting a bunch of users in. So on the game,
we had some chat around this with the real Dave said you could have the client send a username and a GUID as a player object, and then Tactical Thomas said that you could redirect them to the table page after they connected.
If you redirect to another page, it will establish a new connection with SignalR.
Oh.
So we want to keep them on that same page as much as possible.
Okay, cool.
But if you have a unique identifier, and I'd always, again, I think I said this on the last 2 shows, but never trust the client, ever. Never, ever, ever trust the client. So if I'm going to create a GUID, I'm going to do it on the server. I'm going to do it on the server, and I'm going to send that to I'm going to create it on the server and send it to the user, not let the user send me the unique identifier. Because if I were a malicious person and I somehow got a way to access the code base, what I could do is generate my own unique ID all the time and make it the same unique ID all the time and jump into...
Not seeing the problem. What's the problem?
I could do malicious things with the ability to control my own unique ID. I could spoof somebody else's unique ID, for example, if somehow I could guess it. So what I want to do is get the server to issue those type of things out. I want the server to handle whose turn it is. I want the server to handle the state of all the cards in the deck. So if at any point, like, the player tries to play a card that doesn't belong to them, I can validate it against what the server's game state is and go, that person doesn't even have that card. Why are they trying to play it? And then, like, boot them out and ban them for trying to hack the system. So always never trust the client. Always provide them information when you can, and seldom let them specify things. Let's see, is or has joined. We'll say has joined is false. And then we need to do the same thing that our, it wasn't the game hub, it was the table. The table has a joined game method, or player joined method. So this is going to be just identical right here. We'll take this.
Sorry.
No worries. Bless you. We need to register this procedure, this function that we're going to call. And then, again, it's identical here. We can just do the same thing. Player joined. And when player joined gets called, we don't necessarily need the player's name with this one, though. So we already know the player's name, right? We input the name, so we don't really need the name back. We just need to validate that we did it. We do need to change the state here, though. So has joined is now true. And then we need to disable this button. So right now, the button, the join game button, if we have joined, we don't even need that UI element anymore, right? Hell, we don't even need the... Am I allowed to say that? We don't even need the form anymore. Has joined. If it has joined, hasn't joined, then show. Oh, I'm smashing too many buttons. It's trying to catch up. All right. So when we join, it's going to disable the form completely, removing it from the UI. So no more join game for you. You've already joined. You're already there. So yeah, let's try that. My Visual Studio Code foo is failing me. Let's do .NET run again. Not allowed to say UI. It's like a swear word to what, backend developers? It scares them. It's like when you say entity framework to a database admin.
Or if you say identity to any SignalR person.
Yeah. Or to any .NET developer for that matter. It's a blessing and a curse. It's really easy to get started in using, but it's kind of a black box. When something doesn't work, then you're in deep trouble. So the table has joined the game, and I'm going to join the game, and uh-oh. I expected that UI to go away. It did not go away. The UI should have disappeared.
Okay, so I am questioning this bracket syntax. First of all, can we not just like put it as like an attribute on the div?
An attribute?
Well, like, yeah, like, do you have to surround it all with brackets? You can't just be like, okay, cool.
So Angular, I give Angular a lot of flack for this. This is why I dislike Angular. So Angular has Angular code. It's not JavaScript. It's not language stuff. It is Angular code, like ng if, ng.
You be slapping at things in your template, so don't even go there, Mr. Blazor man.
So at is an escape character, and it's escaping into C#. So it's still C#. It's not some other thing. So when you say like ng dash foo whatever, that drives me insane. It's because it's very specific to the framework. That's why I like React.
Ng if.
React doesn't have that. It doesn't have like its own language. React is just JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, you can write React. If you know C#, you can write Blazor.
You're saying this about React. Do you know the CSS black hole situation when trying to do UI in React?
Yeah, that's developers' fault. That's not React's fault. You can get yourself in the same kind of trouble with Angular and Blazor. Let's see. Why isn't? Did I not? Has joined is true. Do I have this back? No, if I had it backwards, has joined. If it's joined, I don't want to show it. So if I haven't joined, I want it to be there. So when I click join game, I will. Oh, I see what it is.
What? Because I don't. What? What?
No, that's not it either. I thought it was because this wasn't async, but that still shouldn't matter. Task join game. I'm going to send this to the server. And then it's going to say the caller has joined game. This is going to come back and player joined. I've got the wrong name here. This is where I dislike the magic string stuff. So let's see. We can't ultimately fix that, but that should at least solve our problem. So let's see. We named it player joined. No, that's, hang on. Join game. This should be joined game. There we go. That should fix it. So it was one of the magic strings.
Chicken man. Chicken man. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have some sort of way. We'll look at the hub next and see if we can strongly type the hub. I don't think there's a way to strongly type the client though. But it would be nice to be able to do that. So we can join the game. Now that should actually call the right method. I'm surprised it didn't throw an error and say it didn't exist or something. I didn't see an exception come up, so that's kind of scary that we can throw commands at the client and they don't blow up. Or maybe it was, no, it still would have been an exception, I think. But anyhow, let's try this again. We'll join me, and boom, the UI just disappears magically.
It went away. It worked. It worked. What was the problem? You had the wrong...
I had the wrong string calling the method. So I had player joined instead of joined game.
Oh, lordy.
So the magic string was wrong, and the magic broke. That's why we call them magic strings. The magic wore off. So player join game is the method we call on the hub, and the hub was trying to call back with the same method name, and it doesn't exist here. So what we can do to make this a little less magic-y, I think what we could do, let's look at the hub first. Let's shut down our server just because we don't want to break anything crazy. There are strongly typed hubs. So let's make a strongly typed hub first. Let's see. SignalR. I almost said jQuery from our discussion earlier. SignalR with .NET. Get started. I'm going to go back up to, let's see here. It is going to be under real-time apps is where SignalR is found. Host. Nope, we're not hosting. It is server concepts. Hubs. And then over here on the right, I know I'm darting around all of these documents, but on the right-hand side, there should be strongly typed hubs. That's where we need to go.
Yay. Also, is this like huge detour away from the to-do list? Are we okay on time?
We're a little bit behind, but I think what this is going to be is this will help us be faster in the long run.
Yeah.
So by investing a little bit of time here, we'll save time by not troubleshooting things that are missing all the time or magic strings that are busted. So what we need is a hub of T, where T is a type that we assign or create ourselves. That T is going to be an interface. So what we'll do is in our hubs, we'll say, give us a new file, be iGameHub.cs. And this will look like this here.
He is pushing it to GitHub. I'll share that link right now in the chat.
Yes, we will push these, today's work up there as well after the show today. So we want a public interface. Let me grab the namespace here as well. Missing command. Boy, it's just like yelling at me. I don't like that. All right. So with the hubs, we will have a public interface of iGameHub. And that will have, let's do some side-by-side splits again. An iHub needs a player join game. So this will be a task of player.
There's a code question by Tactical Thomas.
Or wait.
What are we developing?
Yeah.
I don't use VS Code. Does it extract interface like Studio does?
Does it have extract interface? That's a good question. So Visual Studio, if I were to highlight this class, I can generate a constructor. I can extract a base class. I don't see an interface.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that was a thing in Visual Studio.
In Visual Studio, let me get the error off there. Maybe it'll change. In Visual Studio, you can click here and you can say generate interface, and it will populate a list of all the methods and all the properties, and you select the ones you want. And then it immediately gives you an interface. But no, this one doesn't seem to have it. Let's see here. So what this would do is you're going to take all these magic strings, and instead of saying send async magic string, it's just whatever the client is and that method. So we should be able to do that here. So instead of send async join game, we would have a let's see, these are they tasks? They all just tasks? Yeah, task. It's going to be a task called joined game. And joined game has no parameters. Does it have to be public? Oh, it doesn't know what task is. Ah. Everything is public in an interface, so I don't need that. So joined game, and then we also have player joined is another task, player joined. That does take a string, which is, string. I'm going to call it player. So we might change that signature. We don't have a where'd it go? I don't know what quick key I hit. Did it open another project, or what did this do? I think it jumped to another project. Really? All right. Yeah, I bet it went open recent and jumped over to something else. Oh. In Visual Studio, you hit Control R and it will refactor. I think it's F2 in this. Is it F2 in Visual Studio Code? The refactor button? Let's try F2. Yeah. What I wanted to do is call this player.
Oh, Silly Queen found an article on what was it, Stack Overflow. You put your cursor at the class and press Control period, and then there's like you should be able to do it. Not that you want to do it now because you're down the rabbit hole, but I think there is a way in VS Code to do that.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Why didn't the light bulb give that to me?
I have no idea. I don't ask questions about that.
All right. So that I don't think that would have worked though, because the interface we're trying to so if I did extract interface here, what it's going to give me is player join and table join, which I don't want. I actually want the magic strings that are here. So I want this and this. So those two things, it's the interface isn't of Game Hub, it's of Hub. So it's going to be on the hub, not the Game Hub. It'll make sense in a second. We're not getting an interface for these two methods. We're getting an interface for these three methods. So we want these two are the same thing necessarily. Let's see, joined game doesn't have a parameter. So we're good on that for now. That may change in the future. So now what we can do is say hub of iGame hub and see all these exploded. So now it's expecting, instead of send async, it is going to be player joined and no more magic string. And then in this one, it's going to be caller player joined. So all of our magic strings are going bye-bye. So the interface extraction tool wouldn't have targeted the right methods for that. Oops, player join. No, join game is right. Join game. Joined game. There we go. There. So if we looked at that one more time, if I did extract interface, it's player joined game, table joined game, which are the methods that, these are the methods we need on the client. So if there's a way I can do this on the client, that would be great. I talked to Dave Pine on Monday. He said there's no way to do a client of T. So you can do a hub of T, and it gives you the interface methods. But on the client, there's no mechanism for this. So if we look at the game hub, game state, where's our tab at? Game Razor, we would need this hub connection to be like an hub connection of T, which hub connection builder doesn't have a generic type. There's no way to type this. So we would really want
that you wish Blazor was more like TypeScript.
The TypeScript wouldn't let you do this either. So it's the what do you call it? It is the API on the client that just lacks the building blocks for this to happen. So it's not the language that's doing it. It's the way the client was written. They just didn't have that in mind. Or maybe it's a future feature, or maybe there's another way to do it. One way we could possibly do this, it still would lend itself to some mistakes, but it would take out some of the spelling error possibilities, is we're going to call player joined on the player and joined game. So this is what we need to type out. We could try sharing that interface. Let's see if we could do this. Let's try this out. Where's I want my thing. I'm not used to Visual Studio Code. I'm used to everything being on the right, so I'm kind of pecking for things. Let's try moving the game hub interface to our shared folder. Yes, I want to move it. The namespace needs to be updated to, let's just call it shared. And then we need to go back to our hub and fix this with a using statement, because we moved the file to a different namespace. So it's going to be Blazor 8.shared. And, oh, I'm not in Razor, so I need to put the little semicolon. So now we have the game hub. If we go to the client, we don't have a way of implementing the interface against the connection builder, but what we can do is we can say on name of I game hub dot player joined, and why doesn't it like me? On name of, there we go. Took a second.
It's because it's so slow.
So now we've got a named, and then this is different. This is calling to the server, so we don't have a way of naming that yet.
So Johan B said that you can move your Explore panel to the right if you want in settings.
Oh, yeah, I probably should get used to this. Everybody else is doing it this way.
Who puts it on the right?
Exactly, right? Visual Studio users, that's who. I've seen a lot of Visual Studio users move theirs to the left to kind of line up with the rest of the world that does it. Yeah. It's like the United States and the metric system. It's like Everybody else does the metric system, but Visual
I
Studio
wish I had
users
learned.
can't get on board with this.
I wish we had an option in grade school of like, which system would you like to learn?
So let's see if that works. So we've got the iHub the hub is going to call player joined. So now we have this will, what name of does. So if I say name of blah, 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 like this, name of will take everything past the last dot, like this, and it will turn that into a string. And it does it at compile time, so there's no cost at runtime to do this. So when it compiles, the compiler will take this and just turn it into a string for us. It's not going to cause like anything to run slower because we're doing this. So that should inject the string for us so we don't have to type it and mess up again. And on our table, we have this as well. So in here, I can say name of iHub, iGame hub. I keep wanting to say IHOP. That's what keeps coming to mind.
That's just because of your ridiculous love of breakfast foods.
Is this join game? Join game and then player joined is what actually gets called. That might be confusing. Yes, I do love breakfast. Player joined. Joined game. I'm already doing this backwards. It should be joined game. This probably needs to be renamed as well. Joined game. Just so it all maps out.
Does anybody remember IHOB? No, you don't remember.
IHOB of bacon. I like that.
No, when they tried to rename IHOP to IHOB.
Oh, IHOB. Oh yeah, International House of Burgers. That was a branding fail if I ever saw
And they
one.
like quickly were like, never mind.
They're like, let's call ourselves IHOB. And somebody was like, do you remember New Coke? And they're like, let's not call ourselves IHOB. That's how that conversation went with their branding people. I know it. I'd love to have been in the boardroom that day. Okay,
I really want to know how it even got sold in the first place to announce it.
The CEO probably was like, I have a great idea. And everybody's like, that's a terrible idea. And they're like, he's like, but I'm the CEO. That's how all those bad ideas get floated. Except for progress. Except for progress.
You're saying we don't ever have bad ideas, is what you're saying?
No, I said Yogesh never has bad ideas. I used to work in a corporate office, and we had a CEO of one of our subsidiaries that was exactly like that. He would nonstop come up with terrible ideas all day long and implement them because everybody was scared of him. He reminds me of a certain president we had once. Won't get political, but we had this guy at this office that was like that, like his word or you were fired type of thing. And any kind of good idea that ever came out of him was because somebody gave their idea, and then he was like, I have this great idea, and he just like repeat whatever that idea was.
And so you quickly hobbled away from said job.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so I broke something
game,
with
it goes
that,
away still,
but the
What
player
broke?
didn't join. So I broke something when I refactored that out.
Although has joined apparently is still toggling
So
because your UI goes away.
iHub joined game. Something got disconnected here. So joined game. I think I know what it is. So this is not joined game. This is player joined. That has to be player joined because player joined has a parameter of the player's name, and the other method has no parameter at all. So that's all that was. So we just need to make sure we're calling the right method now. But at least we get a list. At least we get some kind of interface that comes up and names things out for us so we don't have spelling mistakes. So let's try that again. Refresh that one, and refresh that one. And then we will join the game, and there's my name, and my interface went away. We are good. We are good.
All right, do you think that when a player joins the game, we can deal them a hand before the end of said episode today?
Let's try. So player can join. Oh, wait, let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing. Hang on, one more test.
What?
Let's create another tab and join another player. Yes. We have 2 players.
So that join functionality works, but the start and deal is what we're... Although I'm a little confused on the whole terminology of start and what you mean by that.
Okay, so we have 2 players, but how do we know that we have all the players? So we don't want to start the game and start dealing cards before all the players are there.
Right.
And we don't want people to join after the game has started and deal cards to them.
Okay.
So we need some kind of mechanism that allows us to
like an
officiate
all players
this.
Are here button that each user sees.
Yeah. So why don't we copy our favorite game, Jackbox, and just say that the first player that joins is the dealer, and he tells us when the game is going to begin.
Okay.
So that's how it works in Jackbox. First in is the quote VIP, and they get to kick off the game. So I think we're going to get into where we need to discuss our game state again, because we're going to have to identify in our game state.
I was
first of all,
we should let all players have that button, and whoever presses it first fires off the event. Because sometimes it's like really annoying because like one of like my brother-in-law or something might like join as the VIP, and he's like not so fast on the uptake. So then we're all waiting, and we're like, somebody press the button.
Somebody clip that one. Somebody clip it. Fair enough. What happens at our house is the 2 kids argue over who got to be VIP, and then they try to outdo each other. Then it's like a meta game where, like, as soon as somebody gets into the page that displays the 4-digit code, they're like on their phones, like, I'm getting it at first, and then they argue that one of them wins all the time. They're like, you did it last time, you get it every time, and then the other one's like, you should have been faster. Well, you suck, and then we forget what we're there for.
You're obviously there to be the first player in the game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. But yeah, so I personally wish all players had the ability to say that. But
so all players can create the game, start the game, whatever. We need to, I think, just kind of riff inside of the game state then, because we have players, but we have no way to indicate that the game has started. We have no cards to draw or shuffle. We need stuff. I think we need some stuff in here. So in the game state, we need to have a flag at least that says has game started. I don't know if you name things the way I do, Alyssa, but any type of Boolean value, I like to say it's either going to be is or has. Is it this state, or has it, has this thing been set? Has it started?
I don't think you're gonna like my answer. I think most developers like my answer.
You just do. Boom.
Literally, whatever is in my heart at that moment and is thrown up on the page is my rule. So there are no rules here, Edward.
I inherited some code one time that, I kid you not, was var a var b var, oh, this is the best part, var password equals admin.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hey David, it's good to see you in the chat.
So nothing had a name except for username and password.
Yes,
It was
I
like,
think
what
it's
does this
I think it's
do?
fascinating